Hello, you're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and NAGA Munchetti.
Time now exactly 8:30. The main stories this morning. The Ukrainian president says he's reached an agreement with opposition leaders to end the violence there. It follows all-night talks after 2 days of bloody clashes.
EU diplomats, though, are urging caution and say nothing definitive has happened yet. What more do we know? Very much Duncan Crawford there in Kiev.
Opponents of an NHS scheme to share records on a giant database are being accused of scaremongering.
Mid Staffordshire NHS Foundation Trust is due to be sentenced today for failings in the care of a woman who died in hospital in 2007, which works to improve living standards for people on low incomes.
A railway regulator says that most people have no idea how to claim compensation for delayed trains or how much they're entitled to.
Coming up to 8:35, here's a look at what's coming up later in the...
So Great Britain's men's curling team could win a gold medal in Sochi today if they can beat Canada in the final. They are, of course, guaranteed at least silver. 3
of the team are from Lockerbie. We sent Mike there to cheer them on from their local rink. Mike, it's getting busy there.
We can't actually tell, can we, Mike, whether that was any good or not? You've got the advantage. We haven't got the overhead camera on the...
It's okay. We've won.
We've
won the end. There we go.
Well done, Mike.
We'll take your word for it. Thanks, Mike.
Time now 8:43. So the cost of the wettest winter since records began is expected to run into hundreds of millions of pounds. Of course, it's not just homes and businesses affected by the winds and rain, but our rail network too.
Countless train journeys were cancelled or delayed. The track at Dawlish, of course, completely washed away, leaving the West Country cut off at one point.
We're asking if anything can be done to weatherproof our railways. Our transport correspondent Richard Westcott has been finding out. You know, you see the pictures there and you kind of understand why these rail lines were taken out of action. It's impossible. We've had dreadful weather. We can't deny that. And also you've got to wonder, well, if this is the way the weather is, surely we should be a bit more prepared. And why aren't we?
But some of the principles that we saw illustrated so well in Richard's report there, he's going on a train which is effectively just a few inches above the level of the water. That's changed that, can it? And you could be forewarned about the levels, but that won't change the problem when the track starts to disintegrate. In the wrong place, effectively.
Richard Westcott's report there said £300 million is being spent to make...
Well, we do have a Victorian railway network in the UK.
Which is a very... I mean, it's the perfect illustration in a way, isn't it? And it's so graphic, it is washed away.
Yes.
What was there is gone. And of course, it's being rebuilt as we speak. We don't know the time frame. It's going to be several months, we know that for sure. But what's the answer to a situation like that? The railway is there. And the water is there. You rebuild it and wait for the next one? From an engineering point of view, can you say categorically that you have another storm, tides like that, whatever they build next can withstand? We'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Carol about what happens next with the weather. We know how bad it has been. Carol, I don't like the look of umbrellas next to you. Thanks so much. You know, you're going to be grateful. I know it may not seem like this, that what you've had to contend with over the last few weeks, you and the guys in the Met Office, has just been the weather, because we're not going to ask you to predict earthquakes. It's just the rain and storms. Thank you so much.
Miss Naga. Thank you.
She certainly doesn't predict earthquakes. Not many people would have predicted one that would have struck in the middle of the Bristol Channel yesterday afternoon, but it did. And it was the UK's biggest for a number of years. It had a magnitude of 4.1.
So while many people felt the tremor, no significant damage reported. To discuss what might have caused it, how unusual it is, Professor Peter Stiles is here this morning too.
Morning.
Can you just describe it for us? This
Earthquake
or tremor?
It was a genuine earthquake where that collision happened. And so we have this fault, which is a remnant from that major event, which happened.
That was your actual graph, wasn't it?
Yes.
You don't talk a lot about earthquakes in this country. Should we be thinking, is this abnormal, unusual, or is it just something that happens that we just don't talk about?
But we get a lot of smaller induced earthquakes, which are remnants of mining.
Leading question, because lots of viewers will be wondering what these are about. And
this is this particular trace. Now that tells us we've actually had an earthquake. This is even deeper. Individual particles have been smeared out and ground into a fine paste. That's called a myelinite. Okay. So when we see these, and these are from Scotland, these tell us these are the traces of major earthquakes which happened. Yes.
But you can't, can you?
No, I can't.
How do you know then that the Bristol Channel won't have a big one? The UK one.
The size of the earthquake essentially depends on the length of the fault, the area over which it moves. Now, you need a very, very long fault to produce a very large earthquake, like the St Andreas fault. So that, to some extent, gives us some control of the total magnitude of energy and also the amount of strength we can have.
OK.
So 6
it can't
probably...
happen. In essence, a 6 point... Ah, OK, so it could.
A 6.
I'm not going to panic yet.
I'm very ambivalent.
Great, it's been great having a science lesson with you this morning.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much. Thank you.
Let's see, time now has just turned 8:58. When John Brewer set out to tell the story of musician B.B. King, the phone didn't stop ringing, with stars wanting to get involved.
Bono, Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr, they were just some of the names who called asking to pay tribute to the living legend, the blues legend that is B.B. King. Now, John's remarkable documentary, The Life of Riley, is on BBC4 tonight. Before we speak to him, here's a taste of the story. It's
Young man.
Did, yes.
Do you want to sort of give us the picture of him?
Well,
At the age of 6, his father is gone, his mother is dead.
And then,
fascinating, and he's not even reached puberty yet.
No, that's
when
right.
we're talking about it. And the film traces his life and his journey and explains the things we were discussing this morning. Why BB? You know, why? Because his name isn't BB.
No.
His name is Riley.
Riley.
His name is Riley.
But it's from Blue Street.
Yeah.
About his influence on a lot of people in a moment, but one of the things I thought was very, very poignant, he said about his own father, didn't he? He said his own dad never said, "I love you," to him. And the result of that, of course, is that he says, "I say it all the time to my children and my grandchildren."
Yes.
And in a way, it's kind of full circle, isn't it, that notion? He's, what, 88 now?
Yes.
And he is, as everyone says about him, full of love.
Yes.
From a place where he never...
And that was the sign, the love.
Let's talk about then the collaborators, those who wanted to get
Good
involved.
heavens,
I mean, your phone couldn't have stopped ringing from people, and he's had such an influence over them.
Yeah,
he gave you footage free.
Bono's footage was unbelievable. But and of course, you know, there's a lot of love there.
I think one of the things that is apparent as well is that people who possibly don't think of themselves as fans of blues music, if you watch the film, you'll realise just the tentacles.
Yes, because it's blues. It's.
Is he in good spirits and good health right now?
Yeah, he's in wonderful health. He's.
Thank you so much for coming in. Tell us about the documentary.
Good.
Life of Riley is on BBC4. That's tonight at 9 o'clock.
Singer-songwriter Paloma Faith will be joining us in just a couple of minutes.
First, though, here's a quick look at what's happening where you are.